We'll see.
Speaking about throwing the ball, you got to have guys to catch the ball, and that's I think probably a lot of people's biggest concern offensively heading into the season, because there's the lack of production. And I've heard a lot of Malachi Tony buzz. We've talked about him a lot this offseason, but I'll say, based on the conversations that I had a few days ago, I do think there's more confidence in the building, and people say, of course there is, but I think there's more confidence in the building about that group than the outside perspective. I'm not saying that's the same thing at other spots, right? But I think about receiver, they really believe in that group. CJ Daniels, the way that he's coming along, really getting healthy. JoJo Trader, as we understand, taking that step, getting healthy from last season, getting his weight where it needs to be. And then you're going to have some young guys in the mix there. And I've said this before, there was not a whole lot of returning production outside of Restrepo last year coming into the season, compared to what there is this year, especially if you look at what a guy like CJ Daniels did elsewhere.
100%. And on CJ Daniels, I was talking to someone about him yesterday, and the thing I got with him, on top of that, he looks healthy, is last year, we didn't really have somebody who worked a lot with the young guys. We had guys that were there for the right now. And look, we had the best passing game in the country, so it worked out. But I mean, Restrepo is very much a guy that he's focused. He leads by example. He's focused on making sure he's in shape, that he's running the routes correctly, that he's working hard. He's not a guy that's going to be grabbing everybody to say, hey, this is how I do it. He's more focused on his performance. And obviously you saw what he did. Jacoby, he was one also kind of trying to focus on getting ready, getting right, and improving where he was weak. Sam Brown trying to go to the league. Horton kind of did his own thing too. It worked out. Those guys played great for the most part, and you had the number one passing offense in the country. With Daniels, he's much more on top of getting healthy and getting back to that form and liberty where he looked like an NFL guy. I think he's very much, he works with Luke Nickel at quarterback. He works with the younger receivers. He's like a captain kind of guy, which we haven't had at receiver probably since
KJ Osborne.
That's a good one.
I am Harley too. Yeah, those guys are both that sort of player. Restrepo, really too. I mean,
but Restrepo wasn't the guy. Like, Restrepo was about, and I don't say this like in a negative way, because when I say he's about himself, you think it's like he's selfish. That's not what I'm saying. But Restrepo was like, I'm going to make sure I'm ready to play. I'm going to make sure I'm doing everything right.
I can't worry about what everyone else is on the team is doing. Right. If they're not motivated to get it right, then they're not ready.
Right. Just watch me if you want to see what's done. Mm-hmm. And he was a great leader that way. But he wasn't like the guy personality-wise that was just where CJ Daniels, that's just his personality, man. I think his dad's like a motivational speaker, like he has a motivational kind of company. And interviewing Daniels, talking to his parents, just kind of learning more about him, talking to his dad, that's more of his personality. Blue mentioned two guys that I interviewed on Storm Sessions. Great interviews, both of those guys. Check them out at Storm Sessions. Like and subscribe. That's on Miami's official YouTube channel and on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, which I do through the University of Miami. It says CJ Daniels reminds him of Tanner Smith, the catcher. We just did an episode of Storm Sessions with him yesterday that dropped. So yes, very similar. They want to help other guys. We got a question from Peony Boys I wanted to get to. Peony Boys, we didn't forget you. Saying, am I crazy to think that Josh Moore can be better than JoJo Trader? So, Pete, I know you talked to people about both these guys. From what I saw in spring, JoJo Trader, who's, again, a year older than Josh Moore, was the best guy in spring. However, Josh Moore had if you took his highlights were as good as anybody. And I think if you compare him to a JoJo Trader, the one concern I have about JoJo Trader is just that physical size and strength. Whereas with Josh Moore, man, he could go right now and play with no strength issues whatsoever.
Yeah, he was already bodying people up as a true freshman and early enrollee. So that is not the concern with him. I think with him, the word that I have heard is he's a flash player right now, which it's not a bad thing, right? You need flash players. I would love to see him in certain situations where you can just throw him throw him the ball and he can go up and get it, right? And give you that, like you said, physical element at wide receiver. But I think JoJo can just do a little bit more right now in terms of his versatility and some of the routes he's able to run, right? And with more, I think midpoint later in the season, he'll become much more a part of the offense from a consistent standpoint than in the early part of the year.
Yep, I totally agree. A couple comments I want to get to. Your JR Bar saying Sam Brown stuffed at the one by Florida. Weak, dropped the ball at crucial times, not clutch, never made a contested catch. No, I was disappointed with Sam Brown. I think Keelan Marion from BYU, who's even more physical than Brown, same kind of electric athleticism, maybe raw as a receiver, which Brown had some rawness to his game too. I think that'd be the comparison. Can Keelan Marion be better than Sam Brown? I think he can, but that's the pairing I'm watching just in terms of their role on the team. Austin Knowles saying, call me crazy, but I think CJ Daniels has a season like Charlton Rambo when he came. It's possible, man. I mean, different kinds of guys. This guy's he's more like a KJ Osborne, not exactly the same, but he's contested catches, big strength, mature. That's kind of what he reminds me of there. Corey Smith, man, appreciate you. Just want to take the time to say thank you. I bleed orange and green. I'm grateful for this platform because you guys bleed it as well. Appreciate you, man. Yeah, definitely. This is the easiest thing to do on a Friday morning, Saturday morning. This is what I want to do anyway. So you guys make it easy. CJ Daniels from Rod Vic posted a video working out with Tony, and he was like, they called this dude Baby Jesus. Yeah, he calls Luke Nickel, Luke Dimes. Like, he's got little nicknames for, Baby Jesus for Tony. That's been his nickname since he was a kid. But like, he interacts with the freshmen. Daniels does. He interacts with Beck. He's just kind of that leader, which I think this team really needed.
Yeah, I remember when he came back to practice for the first time at Miami. Late part, maybe like 2-3 weeks, 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks left in spring practice. Kevin Beard was like, that wasn't the first player who had returned from injury, right? And Kevin Beard was, because the media, we're there for the first like 15-20 minutes right when practice starts, and man, Beard was pumped up. You can see that he understands what having him in that room does for the energy and the mindset of a lot of. He's a tone setter, we'll say.
Yep, which was, again, that was needed and that was stressed to me yesterday. So we talked about it before, but again, this was emphasized to me talking to people around the program yesterday.